Let's do this.
Okay, firstly, how are you today, David?
I'm fantastic. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to this mega event tomorrow, one of the biggest fights I can ever remember going to. 80,000 people. That doesn't happen in boxing, anywhere in the world. This is a one-off, a mega event, and I'm just happy to be part of it.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the preparation for this fight, I mean, a lot of people are talking about Carl's mentality, his approach. He seems a lot more focused. I mean, but in reality, what can Carl Froch do differently in this fight where he can handle what George can bring to the ring?
The first thing Carl can do is not get nearly knocked out in the first round. That'd be the first. That'd be the top of the list of things. If I was him, don't get sploshed in the first round. Don't end up getting knocked down heavily. Not a flash. There are flash knockdowns, and they're knocked down. That was a knockdown. You really got knocked down. Don't do that. That's what you can do differently. That will change the whole dynamics of the fight. When you get knocked down like that, your legs are numb and your head's spinning. You can't do what you need to do. You're just surviving then.
Yeah.
Don't do that. So your question was, what can you do differently? The answer is way better early. Get a foothold in the fight a lot quicker. Don't wait for you guys. Don't let your opponent punch himself out on your head. For starters, that's definitely another good bit of advice there. But it's going to be a great fight. But as you said, both fighters have prepared, maximally, and they're really going to put it on the line.
Yeah, the assumption is if Carl comes in better than he did before, that he will win the fight. However, in my opinion, George's error in the first, lack of discipline going into the later rounds, kind of cost him the fight.
Who's lack of discipline?
George is in that first fight.
What do you mean?
He seemed to get, around about the 7th round, he seemed to get dragged into a war where really, maybe under Adam Booth, who's a bit more tactical minded, very good tactical coach, he may have stayed on the outside and boxed and just carried on doing what he'd done so well. I mean, what's your thoughts on that?
I don't think it was something that he did in the later rounds. I think he was warring with him in the first round. He was warring with him in the second round. I think the only difference is he was fresher in the early rounds and he was able to get the better of the exchanges. I don't think it was a lack of discipline. No, he was setting his ways to do what he was doing. I think what changed was the 50-50 exchanges that George was winning earlier because he's younger and fresher, seems quicker to the punch, a bit sharper all round. That got jaded. That edge he had in speed and youth and whatever you want to call it changed. The flow changed. It was George getting the better of the 50-50 exchanges. And slowly but surely, Carl started to. They'd have like 5 or 6 punches, and George ended up taking the worst of it. That swapped over in the fight. So I don't think it was a lack of discipline. George wasn't just boxing and all of a sudden started to war with him. No, he just may have appeared that way, but because he was trading with Carl in the first round, in the second round, third round, big exchanges. They were both trading punches, but George was doing better because he was fresher. If George could have stayed fresh for the whole time, different story, but he didn't. He got tired, and that's when Carl, with the bigger engine, sort of came through and started taking over the fight. Who would have known if George wouldn't have got stopped? Who knows what would have happened? Nobody knows. This is what this fight's all about. We want to know what would have really happened.
Yeah, he said about being fresher. I mean, George's speed in particular is what gives him the edge over Carl.
It gives George the edge over most of his opponents. I've sparred with George, and he's very, very, very fast. Very fast. He's got a very deceptive jab. He doesn't look hard, but he's very solid. He's very heavy-handed, George. And I think he'll give anybody in the world a hard night because of that speed. But then again, Carl's not slow. There's nothing slow about Carl. If you think Carl's just slow, you got another thing coming. Carl hasn't knocked out as many people he has because he's slow. He's a very fast fighter as well. I don't think he's as fast as George, but he's not far behind.
Could you have fought outside at Upton Park? How much of a big difference is it from fighting in an outdoor arena compared to fighting indoors?
Obviously you've got the volume of people, the noise is a little different, you've got the fresh air. Normally in a stadium you've got everyone's breathing the air and your air conditioning. It's not it feels a bit artificial, but when you fight an open door it feels natural. You can breathe real air in, and it feels nice, and it feels like you can have an extra gear, extra energy that you may not have in an indoor closed arena.
Does it take a bit of time to get warmed up though?
No, it's a bit cooler outside than it would be indoors. But that's where you adapt that into your training, into your warm-up. You make sure you warm up, and you'll notice both fighters will probably come out in heavily gowned with a towel underneath to make sure they're nice and warm, because you don't want to go out into a fight cold. Carl may have came out into the last fight pretty cold and he ended up on the seat of his pants.
And do you have predict them for this fight?
No prediction, unfortunately. Sorry, mate.
On the fence. On the
How much
fence.
do you think the mind games play in the second fight? Because obviously the first fight, George seemed to be well on top. The second fight, there's been lots of times where Froch has asked him questions, and kind of Groves just looked at him like.
I don't know what. I don't think it's because George was lost for words. I don't know what it
It's
was.
like,
Sometimes less is more.
It's kind of like amazed, like Froch is talking back at me.
I'm not sure. I don't know if he's amazed. I think he might be just looking at it with disdain, like you're still talking. I don't know. It's just, it made me laugh though when I saw it. It was quite funny. But I don't know. Bottom line, all of what's said and done and tweets and posts and this and that, it doesn't mean anything. Once that first bell rings, that's the only thing that matters. Just because someone got the better of an argument in a studio round table, when they fight, it's not going to make someone's jab any worse. What's going to happen is going to happen.
How much should fans look into the sparring session between Eubank and Froch? I mean, it looked like Eubank got the better of him, but again, when you were sparring Wilder, you got the better of Wilder. It looked on the thing. So
You can make any. I could have put some clips together of me sparring where I look like I absolutely got smashed to bits by Wilder.
Yeah.
You know, it's just what you decide to put out there. Maybe Carl has said, okay, get some clips where I don't look so great. Put it out there.
yeah.
So everyone like you are
Exactly.
thinking,
Yeah,
Carl got beat up. All you got to do is go out there and bake up.
Yeah, of course.
It's easily done. You know, you can manipulate it to make it look whichever way you want it to look. So I wouldn't. I didn't take too much from that. I've seen George. I've seen Chris Eubank Jr. have the same success on George as I've seen him having it against Carl. I've also seen George outbox him.
Right.
I've seen them have many rounds together, and you know, it's just competitive rounds. That was just a 15-20 seconds of some competitive spar.
Right.
I took absolutely nothing from that, apart from Carl's in good shape because he was still. It looked like it was the end of the spar, and he was still letting his hands go
Right.
with a lot of intensity. So I think it was a good thing. The fact that Carl hadn't had easy sparring partners.
Right.
The one thing you get with Chris Eubank Jr. is a handful. You know you're in there. You know you got to work for every second of that round because he's a very fit young man. He's strong, and he'll be filling out stadiums like this one day.
I appreciate your time, Dave. Thank you very much.